Okay, so let's take a look at Bitcoin first today. All right. It looks like Bitcoin. All right, so you probably already know Bitcoin dropped below $92,000 last night. This is on the 4-hour chart. Let's take a look at the 1-hour chart. Yeah, that's what I thought. There was a huge leg up an hour ago. Massive buy there. If we're looking at the MACD, it doesn't look like there was a true rotation. Yeah, I think if we break through, there looks to be like a huge resistance right around the $95,000 mark. So if we can break through that 95K, we might be able to get back over. Well, it looks like there was another resistance. Guys, I apologize. It sounds like my daughter is having a hard time taking a nap. Oh my goodness, she is freaking out. I tried to do this like whenever she laid down for a nap so that I could have some free time. And she's struggling. She's on the struggle bus. AI16Z is crushing it. Almost at $2 billion market cap. Let's go back to CoinGecko though and look at the rest of the market. So it looks like Ethereum is sitting at almost $3,400. XRP is over $2. BNB is over $700 again. Solana is almost back over that $200 mark, sitting at 193. Dogecoin is at close to 32 cents. Cardano is back under $1. We looked at this one last week, and I think last week it was sitting over $1, but it had dropped. Tron, don't really care about. Avalanche has dropped quite a bit. Let's take a look at that one. Golly, there was a massive sell-off from $37. Let's take a look at that trading view chart. Again, guys, I apologize. My daughter is freaking out. I apologize if you guys can hear that. She's supposed to be taking a nap right now, and she is just not having it, so I'm sorry about that. But let's take a look at Avalanche. Yeah. Over the past week, it has seen some major sell pressure, and which is crazy because normally what we see here when Bitcoin dips in a bull cycle like this, we see alts go up, but everything is trending lower with Bitcoin trending down. So maybe it's not alt season yet. Maybe what we're seeing here is that Bitcoin needs to continue going up before we actually see. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance, guys. 54.3%, but let's take a look at the actual percentage. Does it have it on CoinGecko? So it just shows you the percentage at the top. I want to see what it's been though. I think Coin Market Cap has, yeah, here we go. Bitcoin dominance. So yeah, over the past, I just really care about, man. All right. So we dropped down to 53%. It's gone up about 3%, which is pretty massive. It might not sound like a lot, but going up by that much. So let's see. When was Bitcoin dominance the lowest over the past few years? Yeah. So here in 2021 was whenever we really saw that altcoin season last, and Bitcoin dropped all the way down to 40% dominance. That's what we need to see again for another altcoin season, another peak crypto market. But Bitcoin is still relatively high. And I think that that has to play out some more, because I don't think that we've seen the all-time high for Bitcoin yet. That's what the narrative is right now. Everybody's talking about Bitcoin this, Bitcoin that, because all of these countries are in talks about creating their own strategic Bitcoin reserve, along with a bunch of massive companies that are doing the same thing, creating their own Bitcoin strategic reserve. I mean, look at what MicroStrategy is doing. Look at the vote that just happened last week with Microsoft. So I think that that's going to play out for a bit longer. If we look at the timelines too for the past few cycles, we'll see that Bitcoin runs in these 4-year cycles, and we've still got about 6 or 7 months before we really see that peak of the season of the market cycle. So I think we probably have to see a little bit of more of this Bitcoin dominance play out over the next few months before we see that real all-time high. Now, keep in mind that a lot of people are talking about Bitcoin can go to 200,000, Bitcoin can go to 350,000 this market cycle. I've learned over the past few cycles that you should take those numbers that everybody is spewing and make your expectations much lower. Because I remember back in 2017, what we saw was 20K was the peak, but everybody at that time was talking about how Bitcoin would reach 100K. And then we saw the same thing in 2021, right? Like we saw people talking about how, oh, Bitcoin is definitely going to reach 100K this time. Well, it only reached close to 70K in 2021. So this time, if the narrative is, okay, it's going to reach 200K, it's going to reach 350K, it's going to reach $1 million, lower your expectations for what everybody is preaching. Now, could it reach those numbers? Absolutely, but a lot of terrible things have to happen, or a lot of incredible things have to happen in order for us to reach those points in this cycle. Now, will that happen eventually? I do think it will, but I don't think it's going to be in this cycle. In fact, I hope it's not in this cycle, because in order for us to reach $1 million per Bitcoin, the US dollar has to basically plummet in value. And that would be catastrophic for a number of reasons. So I hope that we don't see Bitcoin at $1 million in this cycle. I'm keeping my expectations somewhere around 140 to 150 grand for Bitcoin this cycle. That's my expectation for Bitcoin. But altcoins, if we look at previous cycles, Ethereum has run drastically higher. Cardano, Avalanche, all of these altcoins that are in the top 25 have the potential to do multiple times that, right? they have the potential to really run a lot higher. When your market cap and a number of other things are much lower, you have the potential to run higher, right? The the percentages that you can gain on some of these altcoins is just massive. But Bitcoin obviously is at a very large number already, and I just don't see it doing a 5x from here. I just don't. That's not to say that it can't, though, right? But I just don't see it happening. Okay, moving on. Over the past week, there are a few articles that I wanted to go over with you guys today. Charles Hoskinson pushes for community control in Cardano governance shakeup. This was a pretty massive read for me. I think that this is probably one of my favorite articles from over the past week. Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson urges the Cardano Foundation to adopt a membership-based model emphasizing stronger community governance and oversight. The founder of Cardano has openly criticized the governance structure of the Cardano Foundation, arguing it does not adequately involve the community. He's pushing for a significant change to a membership-based organization instead of a DAO having an MBO to address ongoing challenges within the ecosystem. You'll see that a lot of the projects that have been doing very successful numbers in this cycle have been community led, community driven, and I think that he recognizes that and he wants to push for the same thing with Cardano. So I'm really excited for what this might mean. Now, obviously, he is the founder of Cardano, but he can't make this decision by himself. He has to get approval from the foundation. And so with that, I do hope that this goes through, but at the end of the day, they're going to have to determine what's best for them as an organization moving forward. Okay, next up we've got Michael Saylor hints at new MicroStrategy Bitcoin purchase, sparking speculation. Well, we found out today, this morning, that they did purchase more Bitcoin. So they're looking at over 2% of the entire Bitcoin supply they now hold. MicroStrategy does. And that is massive. But what I find really peculiar about this story is that if you look in the news, everything has been about Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy and their purchasing of Bitcoin over the past few months. But I saw a chart the other day that showed the purchasing of Bitcoin, and it compared MicroStrategy with BlackRock. And over the past, few months, BlackRock has just completely surpassed MicroStrategy in a very parabolic way. And that fascinated me because MicroStrategy has been, I would say, the most bullish company on Bitcoin, fueled by a leader of Michael Saylor, who is very in favor of Bitcoin. But to see the amount of purchasing that BlackRock has been doing, that kind of goes back to that other story that I covered the other day about Robert Kiyosaki saying that BlackRock is currently suppressing the price of Bitcoin and adding a little bit of speculation in the market that they might be, manipulating the price in a way that is favorable to them so that they can purchase more before the price continues to rise. And it wouldn't be the first time that they have been accused of doing such things, and it definitely wouldn't be the last time that a major company like BlackRock has been accused of doing such things. I mean, the stock market is a great indicator of companies in the past who have done said things, and in an emerging market where there's not as much liquidity as some traditional finance markets, it makes it probably a little bit easier to do so. Okay, next up, the United States has regained leadership in the cryptocurrency market. What does this indicate? Now, I haven't had the chance to read this yet. I just wanted to go over it with you guys because the headline seemed pretty fascinating to me, considering the fact that this week alone, we got news from the IRS that all DeFi transactions need to have KYC implemented on them, which is a huge blow to decentralized finance because at the end of the day, their whole goal was to cut out middlemen, to cut out the hassle of having to go through all of that. And if you start adding KYC, it just creates for a lot more problems in the market itself. All of these American companies that are building in DeFi, like Uniswap, for example, they have to determine what they're going to do. Are they going to shut down? Are they going to go overseas? Or are they going to try to abide by these new rules put in place by the IRS? I don't know. And in fact, we've heard recently that this new administration, this new Trump administration coming in, might try to nix that altogether. So we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out, but it's a very interesting thing. So that's why I wanted to look at this article. So let's just dig into it a little bit here. The United States has regained its leadership in the cryptocurrency market thanks to the launch of an ETF and Trump's promises. There we go. The United States has regained its prominence in the cryptocurrency sector after Asia claimed leadership of the sector for much of 2023. The United States has regained, reports Bloomberg. Okay. This came about thanks to Donald Trump's re-election as president, as well as growing demand for cryptocurrency derivatives and exchange-traded funds. The surge in activity in the digital currency sector was prompted by the successful launch of an ETF on Bitcoin in the U.S. in early 2024. In addition, Trump's victory, which promised to make America the cryptocurrency capital of the world, further fueled enthusiasm in the U.S. crypto market. Okay, let's just look at this chart. Bitcoin dollar trades more centralized in U.S. hours. Okay, so that's where they're drawing this from. They're basically saying that the U.S. markets is where they're seeing the most trading action or trading volume in Bitcoin. So this might not show or paint a full picture because, one, it only takes into account trading hours and volume, and two, it's specifically in Bitcoin. And as you all know, there are a lot more cryptocurrencies out there than just Bitcoin. So let's just move on. This was another big story this week. I did a video this week, and you guys should definitely go and check it out. I did a deep dive into Hyperliquid and this entire drama that played out on my Twitter timeline about Hyperliquid denying being hacked by the Lazarus group, the North Korean hacker group. But it was a fascinating story because there are obviously some security experts like Tevano in this ecosystem that seem to think that Hyperliquid is not being as good as they should be when it comes to security. And they came back with a rebuttal saying that we've reached out to multiple other security professionals that have helped us and we are taking it very seriously. So you'll have to decide what you think about it. What is fascinating about Hyperliquid is the airdrop. What we've seen in the past, especially over the past year, is that most airdrops, as soon as they take place, there is a huge sell-off. Like, it just dumps into oblivion. But that's not what we've seen with Hyperliquid. They've created tokenomics and systems that incentivize people to hold and wait for the new staking protocol because of the fact that they have so much volume. They've built a product like this perp dex that they've built has been very profitable for them. And because of that, people are willing to hold on to the token itself, hype. And it's a very fascinating story, and I encourage all of you to dig into this. But the next thing that I wanted to talk about was AI16Z. This has been a very fascinating thing to look into. I looked into this yesterday. Look, let me preface this by saying that I have not done a lot of due diligence on this yet, but what I find fascinating about this is that it's a DAO set up for traders, and they built a treasury behind this bot, essentially, that will go in and make purchases based on what it's learned through autonomy, but also through the DAO itself. People can pitch to this bot, basically, and there is a vote that gets put in place if the pitch is good enough. And the treasury basically is built off of these votes, which I think is incredibly fascinating. So it's basically taking an index fund and using AI technology along with decentralized autonomous organizations, and it's bridging all of those things together to build this treasure trove. And I'm definitely keeping an eye on this. I will tell you guys that I don't own any of this, but I have been keeping an eye on this for the past few days, and I think it's very fascinating what's playing out here. Now, I did notice that their treasury is not, while it's growing and it's doing well, it's nowhere near the, I guess, market cap of what the token is at this point. The fully diluted valuation of this is at $1.8 billion right now. And I want to say the treasury is in the millions. So there's a little bit of a disconnect there, and that's why I haven't touched it yet. But I encourage you guys to go and take a look at this. There is some fascinating things that are happening with AI right now and AI agents. I don't know if I mentioned that this was an AI agent, but I maybe should have started with that. This is an AI agent, obviously, that I guess based on everything else that I said, that should have been pretty obvious. But there, in the AI sector, there is some pretty fascinating things happening right now. Once this gets a little bit easier, which I think it will very soon, I might play around with building my own AI agent. There are platforms like Virtuals right now, and I think even what was it? I think it was Coinbase. Coinbase built their own platform to launch AI agents. So I might look at one of those two platforms and see how hard it is to really dig into one of these, because I think it would be cool to like throw $100 at an AI agent and say, okay, these are my parameters for what I want you to trade and when. Go out and trade for me while I'm sleeping, and let's just see what happens with it. I think that that would be a really fun project. But that is what I wanted to share with you guys today. If you enjoyed this live stream, please be sure to hit that like button. I really do appreciate all of you. That is going to be it, though. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you again next Monday. Thanks, guys. Capital Recon out.